Okay, so welcome back to episode 2 of our podcast series where we discuss all things relating to Minecraft, our server, and what it takes to be in the Minecraft industry. Today, me and Tiffany are back with another episode where we will have our first ever special guest. So, Tiff, do you want to introduce yourself and our guest?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited for this second episode. First episode went really well, and it's going to be really great now to have lots of special guests and people joining us, and yeah, just see where it goes. So, for this episode, we're joined by our amazing co-owner, one of the fellow owners, lovely Chrissy, who's going to be with us to talk about different things on the server, what it's like being part of the owner club, and what it's like because she's very heavily involved in content and all that aspect in her sort of journey on the server and her role with us. So, Chrissy, how are you? And could you tell us a bit about what you do and your role is on the server, please?
Hello, I'm Chrissy. I'm currently sick, so my voice does not usually sound like this, probably. But yeah, as Tiff has said, I am one of the co-owners out of the four of us. Yeah, and I started off as a moderator or a mod on the server, and I've progressed all the way up to owner, which is kind of wild. Yeah, so I dabble in like a bunch of different roles, I suppose. I do a lot. But yeah, currently I'm very heavily involved in the content side, so creating model concepts, designing, creating models myself recently, and then also social media posts for the server. Yeah, so a little bit of everything, sometimes building, sometimes moderating, but yeah, mostly the content side of things.
That's brilliant. I mean, as you can see in your name, you are the head admin, Chrissy. She's just equipped to do everything. She's brilliant. So as you can see, it takes a lot to run a server, and we all have our own big role to play in just make sure everything runs well. So let's dive straight into that a bit more. So Tiff, you manage the server a lot as well as a manager. So how does the process start when working on features of the server, I suppose? And I mean, obviously it starts with you, I presume.
Yeah, so it depends what it is, but most of the time when we're creating new content, I'll start with an idea that maybe one of us have come up with, myself, or even sometimes an idea a player might suggest, and then I can roll with it and I can start to develop it into something a bit more of a solid, concrete idea, or I might have to adapt it slightly depending on what the server can handle, or if it might not quite be what we want for the server. And then from there, it'll either go on one of two paths. The idea will either go straight down to the devs and it'll be up to them to sort of code and implement it, or it'll probably go over to Chrissy, who then has to sort of uh, develop the idea further or create some kind of design for the idea or work with the other sort of content creators to create something that can maybe visually go into the game or it's sort of similar. And that's sort of the two paths something can go down, and then obviously it usually circles back to me or someone else to review it, and then it gets into the game for the players really. So first of all, looking maybe more at the development side, I was wondering if you could explain your sort of path and experience when ideas come to you, Chef?
Um, yeah, so when we're developing a new feature, there's a lot that has to go into it. Making sure everyone's got the right perms, making sure what different players can access different things, how it will work in game, how it looks, just so many different things, making sure all bugs are fixed. And it can take a long time to do, but us dev team, we do try our best to get it out as much as possible, as quick as possible to you guys. And make sure it's all tested, it all works well, it's all fluent. Um, and so, Chrissy, what about you? How do you play a part in all of this, I suppose, with content such as new models?
Yeah, so usually what will happen is a couple months in advance that we want to release things, stuff will come to me, um, and basically give me this idea, and that idea will then be taken down from me, and I'll sort of put it down to the modelers. A lot of the time, it's with the modelers. But first of all, we go to the design team. Tiff usually heads that up in terms of how she actually wants things to look. And then I sort of give my input. Yeah, and then it goes down to the modelers. The modelers create the models for us, and then we implement them into the game. And then we also use a program called Trello, which is generally where we get to see all our upcoming, I suppose, features, or we have crates or furniture sets. So we we can sort of see what's upcoming so we know in advance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always love seeing on Trello all the different content bits, and just it's nice being able to slowly tick stuff off, and looking at
Yeah,
how much we've created.
it's
Um,
very satisfying.
yeah. Yes, so on the subject of models, it's probably a good time to discuss the more stressful side of the running of a server, and how we finance it and such. And as a lot of people probably think, it's safe to assume, oh yeah, Chef's a YouTuber, he's got all these fans, he's got loads of money, and the server's got big store of cash to, that all the owners cash out on. But that's not the case at all. We aren't a profit server at all. We do not make any profit ourselves. We put all our money straight back into the server, getting new features for you guys to be able to enjoy. So, all the staff contributions is all volunteer based. And so without any profits going towards the upkeep of the server, we've recently had to use some of our own money as we make so little. So Tiff, I don't know if you just wanted to touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, so that's totally right. We aren't a profit server at the moment. We don't make any money. None of us have ever, like you said, cashed in on any money. The same with the staff. It's all voluntary based, and we're happy to do that and to give back. But of course, at the same time, sometimes it's really hard if we're not even making enough for that. We're not pay to win, or we try to avoid pay to win because it's like not something that we're about. We want to put as much out as we can for the players to enjoy. But of course, at the same time, it's really important for us to have features that can help us run the server because we can't keep putting into our own pocket. As lovely as that would be, none of us are millionaires with lots of money to be able to do that. So we do have to create features that the players can buy, and we really appreciate and we're always so grateful when people do, because it does mean that we'll be able to keep the server running. Without it, we won't. So talking of those features, I was wondering, Chrissy, if you could perhaps tell us some of them and what they are.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, we have a store where players can purchase keys of some kind. Yeah, so we have a crate called Lucky Dip, which is a permanent crate, and this Lucky Dip crate you can buy keys from the store or win them in game, I think. Basically, you can get models from our previous season or from our previous crates, so our previous seasonal crates. So for example, we recently did the spooky crate, and then I think before that we did summer. So we're always releasing different seasonal items. And coming up, we actually have some things for winter for the people in the Northern Hemisphere. We have ranks. Those basically you get some special permissions that basically add to your gameplay. Yeah, and then finally, definitely my most favorite is creating actual furniture, which we are sitting in right now. We have little animated models. We've recently started doing animations in models, which really just adds like some fun. But yeah, I think Tiff was saying in the first episode of the podcast, how she really likes the decoration of like using all the models for decorations, and I'm definitely that person as well. So it's very fun getting the concepts done, the models done, and then actually seeing the items in game. It's very, very rewarding. But yeah, those are just a couple of our main features that we have here on the server.
Absolutely. I think you are totally right. The model element is so fun because we're constantly evolving. If you look back at our first sort of crates that came out, it was very basic weapons. Couldn't be anything more than that. And then we obviously started to explore more with hats, and then we started to explore more with placeables and our animations, and it's just been such like a whirlwind journey to get to this point. And it's so important to have these features to be able to offer them to the players, so it's not just the same old keys that are boring and you have to buy. There's more fun stuff for different people to appeal to all the different player base. Like you said, we're much more decorative kind of people. We like the decorations and stuff like that. So like, for me, if I was a player, that would be what I would want to purchase. Whereas I feel like Chef would probably be someone who would enjoy purchasing keys and stuff like that for crates. And it's all nice because it's all appealing to different people, was trying to avoid that pay to win that we kind of mentioned. And yeah, it's like you said as well, it's not just your standard keys or even the furniture, which is cool in itself. It's like the devoted element and being able to be on our devoted which is kind of like a monthly subscription for a few pounds a month, and then you get to obviously experience things with other players and get more features, which is something that I think a lot of people don't know about. Is the devoted rank gets vehicles, which I've not really ever seen many Minecraft servers have before. The fact that we've actually got vehicles that you can ride around, fly around, and all that kind of thing. So that's really cool in itself, that they kind of get features for the first sort of year before anyone else, and then maybe it'll go to all players like the mailbox system did, and so on and so forth. So it's really cool for us to be able to have all of these different features that, yeah, it might cost money, but at least it's worth it. It's not just boring old features.
Well, yes, exactly. It is all about a balance among all players. As without any profits, we cannot do what we do, and equally, we want it to be fair for everyone. Of course, not making it pay to win and such. And so we just love to make it all accessible without money. But then, for those who do want to kind of support the server a little bit, they can, get some features in game which just will slightly enhance their gameplay. But we're still trying to avoid that pay to win feature. But on another note, Chrissy, how do you find your experience of the server? I know you already spoke about the custom furniture, but do you have any other favorite features?
Yeah, so again, I really like the texture packs. So there's always these cool packs. I don't know who finds them. They just appear on the server. One of the devs does it. Like at the moment, we have a really, really cute like autumn texture packs, although there's leaves on the ground. It's very cute. And then also we have shooting stars. I don't know, it's all those like little things that really just make the server Astro Comet for me. Yeah, so I mean, it's so hard to like actually pick one that is my top favorite, but I mean, custom furniture and items really are my jam. But yeah, also I really like the mailbox. Tiff was mentioning the mailbox. The mailbox system is really great as well. Yeah, and I think it's everything combined that really just make the server what it is. All the little things add up and really just make the server that much more enjoyable, in my opinion. And I hope everyone watching here can actually experience that same kind of like feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In a weird way, sometimes, especially for us, I think we'll see a new feature come in or a new model, and it's so magical because you're like, oh my gosh, that gives me goosebumps because it's so cool. And I think sometimes we take it for granted. It's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. But I have to agree with everything you said, and we have our winter one that'll be coming soon, our winter furniture pack, and also our winter pack that goes out across the whole server, like with the trees and the leaves and stuff like that, to make it all kind of Christmassy and wintry and magical in a different way, totally. So yeah, that's all really fun. So a little bit away from the sort of in-game element, how do you find being an owner, Chrissy? What was it like for you when you found out you were going to join sort of me and Gab and obviously Chef as well in the owner club?
Yeah, so Tiff sent me literally the longest message I've ever received on Discord. It was very, very weird. Anyways, so she was sort of like, I think, inviting me basically to co-own with Chef, Gabrice, and herself. And yeah, I can't really remember all the like little ins and outs of it, but basically it ended up being the four of us who were like, okay, Tiff and Gab, they just can't manage just the two of them being owners. Chef and I already were doing quite a lot for the server. So I think it maybe made sense to Tiff and Gab to just bring us on as permanent owners or co-owners. Yeah, so then I think we sort of tested out Chef being owner for a period of time, and then I was brought on as well. But it wasn't, I don't think it was really something we just like shoved in everyone's face. I don't think we did
Mm.
that. I think it was just kind of, just like a gradual thing. I mean, we were doing so much anyways, or are doing so much. But yeah, it was quite surreal because we were like signing things and I was like, oh my word.
Oh.
Like like this is like legit, It's not just like we're not just playing around here. This is like actually like I think that's when I realized how invested I am into Astro. Like
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm invested. I've been here for a while, a couple of years. But like when I was like faced with this contract, I was like, oh my word, this is actually so amazing and so cool. Yeah, and so there's even people in my everyday real life that know that I sort of help run a Minecraft server, and I think it's quite a cool thing.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, like me and Chrissy have both come a long way. She's just like me going from role to role to role because, I actually
You literally
started.
did every role.
I've been a
I
builder.
think except builder,
Never doing
not
that.
builder,
But,
not doing
obviously, I
builder.
started off as a mod with you, and I remember Glitched, who's one of the senior mods on the server. He approached me and was like, "Oh, you should join the server." I was like, "Sure." And I was like, "Oh, I'll just give it a go. I'll apply anyway." And I nearly got a response, and I nearly thought I was like, "I'm just going to leave this server." But then being able to stick with it and just grow so many relationships with everybody, it has been so amazing, and I'm so glad that being invited to be a co-owner. Chris is also here with me because I think our friendship has grown so much, Chrissy,
Mm.
and I just think it's brilliant. Yeah. Um,
I know it's so amazing that we've all just like come from all these different walks of life, and it's like all sort of, I don't know,
mm,
centered now around Astro Comet.
I just
It's really cool.
I feel like if you told me this time last year I'd end up being a co-owner of this server, I wouldn't have
I
believed
wouldn't have
you.
believed
No,
you.
like
Literally same.
I can
I
still
wouldn't
remember,
have.
me and you, Christy, and some other people just doing bed wars whilst waiting for the server to
Oh my
open, and
gosh,
now
yes.
look where we are.
And I remember you doing your first ever model in
Oh
Blockbench. It
my
was
gosh,
a tiger
that
axe.
tiger axe, no
That
way.
axe was insane.
I prefer to forget about that one.
It was so good. Like it just ended
It
up being it caused
was.
so much problems for the server. It's like, yeah, this like lags an entire room. Like, oh, does it? Oh, okay. Gonna have to
But that's
remake
one
the
of the
whole
downsides
thing.
with our models, guys.
Mm,
We sometimes make
Yeah,
them a little bit
learning
too
a bit.
big and then it causes issues. I think we've learned how to sort of like balance it out now, where
absolutely.
the server's fairly stable in terms of our models and all that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's come a long
yeah,
way. I
it's
think,
honestly been wild, a wild ride.
yeah, it has been. I think the main thing though is obviously you're a guest, Chrissy, so I don't know about Chef, but I just like to know, like, do you enjoy it? Like, where do you sit with it all? Because it's a hard job to have. It's not like, oh, you're just an owner and that's it. I don't think many people understand the behind the scenes element. So it's like, how do you find it all?
No, so I've definitely had times where I do find it tough, but I think when stuff in my like regular everyday life is going, like maybe my mental health is a bit hectic or things at college are quite stressful, I do find a little bit harder to manage and keep up with things with the server. So I sometimes just have to remind myself, like, hey, like this is actually a really amazing opportunity that I'm in. And yeah, it can be very stressful. And sometimes I almost forget, like, oh, why am I enjoying this? Why am I doing it? But it's actually so rewarding seeing stuff develop, like literally start from absolutely nothing and just become this like huge thing in the server, and it's really satisfying. But yeah, so it can be quite tough. I am a college student at the moment, so a lot of my time is dedicated to that, and then the rest of my time is basically for the server.
Mm.
But yeah, definitely can be a challenge at times. It's not all unicorns and princesses. um, but yeah, it can be tough. I don't know about you if you guys feel the same, but I certainly do feel pressure at times.
Yeah, that's just it. It is so rewarding, like you said, but then
Mm.
sometimes it's also so there's so much to it and it's so involved and it can be really challenging. And I think it's nice to be able to talk about it in this podcast because it gives
Yeah.
other people an insight into what we're actually or what we actually do. And that it's like, I think sometimes it's precious, especially if someone, not even necessarily staff, message you and if you don't respond straight away, it might be like, oh, they're not interested in what I have to say. And that's never the case. It's just a
Mm-mm.
very full on job. It's a job, essentially.
Yeah, it's a job that I mean, I do other volunteer things in my life, so it's another like job. But like volunteer or not, I take it seriously.
Mm.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Well, thank you so much, Chrissy, for joining us. I feel like we could talk about so many different things with you because, like you say, you're so involved with different positions on the team, like me and Chef, and it's really like so hard to cram it all in. So it was really nice to just sort of discuss the owner element a little bit more with you today, and I'd love it if you'd come and feature with us again for a different episode in the future, talking maybe more about designing and how you got involved with that and all that sort of thing. If you'd like to come.
Yeah, of course. I had a great time sitting with you
Thank you
guys
so
and chatting.
much.
We always just chat, but it's so
Mhm.
nice to like do this where now everyone listening and watching can actually like have an insight into what our conversations go like. Minus the absolute chaos, I think.
You've been quite
But yeah,
reserved this time.
I have been quite reserved. Hey,
Best
um,
behavior.
I'm on my best behavior, guys.
Yeah,
Yes, I
well,
can be
we know. Don't worry,
rowdy.
we know.
Yeah,
But
thank you so
But
much for
yes,
coming.
thanks
yeah,
for. But yes,
it's been
thank you
very
for having
nice.
me, guys.
So yeah, if you guys did enjoy the podcast, feel free to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode every Monday night. We've got lots of exciting features coming to the server. As you can see, you might have spotted some of our winter furniture. By the time this video comes out, that should now be live in the store. Only cost a few pounds, and you get these really nice features in game. You know, you can get some skins and you might be able to use them next season. Who knows? Who knows? Of course, as Christmas comes up in December, we'll have some exciting features. You know, we might bring back some old features involving an advent calendar. Who knows? Stay tuned. But yeah, if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you so much, Chrissy. Thank you, Tiff, as always. And we'll see you all
You're
next
welcome.
time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Leave me alone in my outro.